Okay, Alicia Dolan here at Creating in My Corner. I am back and live, and hopefully everything is set up well this time. I am gonna tonight use the Festive and Fun cling stamp set, and I am gonna make some cute cards with that. But first, this is a brand new stamp set, and it's new to me as well. It's in the mini catalog, because I don't think it's an online exclusive. I'm pretty sure it's in the mini catalog. So we are going to make some stamps using this tonight. And first I wanted to show you, because this one is brand new and I haven't done this in a while, this is how the cling stamps come when you first get them. Okay, and so you'll have the cling stamps on one side and a sheet of stickers on the other side. So really quick, I'm going to show you how I like to put them together. There are a lot of different ways that people use, but I have a favorite method. So I'm just going to show you real quick. So I like to punch out all of my cling stamps first. And cling stamps are basically red rubber stamps that will stick to your acrylic blocks. Now, if you have been around stamping for a long time, or if you've been in a craft store, you may have seen some rubber stamps that are on wooden blocks. Now, it used to be that these would come and you would have to cut each one of these out and then stick them to your wooden blocks. And fun story, like when I first joined Stampin Up, I would use like a sealant on all my wood blocks. I'd let that dry. I'd cut out all my red rubber stamps, and it was quite a process. Okay, now I like to keep this part of my rubber stamp, and I just set it in here like that. So then what you're going to do is you're going to match up your stamp with your images. Okay, so all of these are stickers, and they're very sticky. So once you put them down, you cannot move them. What I like to do is choose one side of the stamp and line that up first, and kind of, ooh, I almost made a mistake there. I like to get that right on the edge, and then as I lay that other side down, I kind of move it a little bit to make sure that it gets right on. And usually I found that for me, that's the best way to do it. And then I'll peel them out of there. And I like to store them just like this, back in the rubber thing that they came in. So each time I peel up the sticker, find the stamp that matches. And like I said, I like to line up one side first, and then as I lay it down, I can adjust it if it's a little too high or a little too low. Because once you stick that down, you will find that you cannot move it. If you try to peel this up, there is no way that it's coming nicely. Okay, and then I just put them right back in there, and I'll show you what I do at the end, because these are very sticky. Okay, and you don't want them to lose that stickiness, because that's what helps them stay on the block while you're stamping. You do not want your stamps falling off in your ink, or on your card when you're not ready, or anywhere else really. Okay, so we're just going to put all these on real quick. And I can tell you, if you are new to putting these on, you may want to take a little more time than I am in lining them up and getting them straight and sticking them on there. I feel like I've been doing this for a while now, and so I can move a little quicker than I did in the beginning. But I am really glad that we're here together tonight creating, and I hope okay, now see, I did make a big mistake with that one. Can you see where it's way off the edge there? I got a little carried away. So I'm gonna have to be really careful when I'm stamping this one. See how far off that is? I'm pretty sure that I cannot get that back up now that it's stuck. I'm gonna try and scoot it just a little bit though. But it really didn't work. Let's see. Once it's stuck down there, there's really, now see, it's starting to tear the foam a little bit. I'm gonna try it again, but my fingers are gonna be really sticky. And this is a classic what not to do, so don't do that. I didn't line up my right side very well. And that's what happened there. Okay, I'm gonna try and get it back down on there so I can redo that. But I doubt I'll get it much closer than it was before, just because now it's not gonna be nice and flat. Okay, so now you've seen like what to do and what not to do. All right, so we're gonna try really careful to place that left side down, and then before I put that tail down, I'm gonna line it up much better than I did the first time. Okay, so there's that one. For those of you who saw the first video, I'm sorry that I had to stop. I turned my phone to the right when I adjusted, and I should have turned to the left. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting my cling stamp together. Okay, and then this one is kind of tiny, so it should be easier, but that never should be's and what is are not always the same. So we're gonna lean that left side down, and then before we lower the right, we're gonna make sure it's all lined up. We've only got 2 left here. And tonight we're gonna make some fun and festive Christmas cards. Okay, now we've got to line up our words. We've got 2 left here. So I'm gonna line up the left side and gently lay that down. And then as I lean down the right side, I'm gonna make sure it's lined up to get those nice and even. Well, as close as we can, really. I feel like they're never all the way perfect. Hello, Janelle. I'm glad that you found me again. I wasn't gone very long, but I didn't want that shadow right in the middle of our video tonight, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it without turning the camera around, and Facebook would not let me turn it around. I probably need to watch a few more instruction videos about how to do videos, but I haven't got around to that yet. All right, so now all our stamps have their stickers on, so we can see what they all are. And then what I like to do when I store my stamps is, because these are very sticky, if you're not careful, they will stick to the case that your stamps come in. And so what I like to do is peel the rest of that sticker off the backing, and then I turn that backing over so that kind of waxy side is down, and I just lay it on the top. And then I can't find my Sharpie down here, but I like to make an R on this side of my paper. And what that does is just tell me that this is the right side. So if I see the R pointing up at me, I know that I have the waxy side down towards my stamps. And that is how I like to store my stamps when they're new. Okay, let me get rid of this little bit of trash, and I'll grab some cardstock and we will get to making some cards here. And I'm thinking we'll do some coloring tonight, so we'll try a couple different techniques. I'll show you some different things. I'm dropping all kinds of things behind me. I don't know if you can hear that or not. All right, so first let's see. Happy Christmas wishes. Okay, so let's do the giraffe, and then we'll do maybe the moose and the little beaver here. Okay, so I'm gonna put the giraffe on this cherry cobbler. I think that will work nice. And I have some basic white here. All my stuff is put away, so it's going to take me just a second to get everything out. All right, so here is my paper trimmer. I'm going to need my Stampin' Pierce mat. And tonight we will do some fun coloring techniques. All right, and I've got, this is the Merry Bold and Bright Christmas paper. I really like this one, and I think it will go fun with our little stamp set tonight. Okay, so let's take a piece of cherry cobbler, and it looks to me like this one is already cut to the right size, but we're going to double check it. We want it to be 5.5 by 8.5, and then we're going to turn it to the side, and we are going to score that at 4 1/4. Let me double check and make sure that was 5.5. It is. Okay. So then we're going to fold our card base, and I need to grab my bone folder from over here. I'm having a little trouble figuring out where all my stuff is. I was at a retreat on Saturday, and so I haven't actually put all my stuff away yet. I feel like I say that every time I was here or I was there. I am a lot of the time off going places. So while that's very fun for me, it can be hard to get back in the groove once I get back home. All right, so let's use, let's see. I was thinking maybe something that looked a little bit like ornaments, but I don't see that. So how about some stripes tonight? Stripes are always good. They are not exactly the right color. Okay, so we're gonna swap out our cherry cobbler and we're gonna look for some real red. All right, let's try this one and see. That looks better to me with that. Okay. I love cherry cobbler. It's really one of my favorite colors, but it does not match the paper that I chose. This designer series paper. And I'm sure that it would be fine and no one would complain if I sent them a super cute giraffe on cherry cobbler instead of real red. But I would know that it didn't match and I can't do that. All right, so here we go. Again, we have our card base, which is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Next, we are going to cut our paper here at 3 3/4. And then we're going to turn it to the side and we are going to cut it at 5. So it'll be 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, and that's going to go on the front. And then we need a piece of basic white. And we're going to need that to be 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. Now, if you are having trouble following along and you want to make this card, don't worry. If you sign up for my email list, I will be sending out the instructions with all the measurements in it later this week. All right. So there is our, you know what? I want more of that. I really want more of that striped paper to show. So I'm going to cut this a little bit smaller. And I'm going to make it 3 1/4. By 4 1/2. Okay, so it's not a ton smaller, but it is a little bit. And then tonight we're going to put it down here in the corner, I think. So it'll be off, it'll kind of be offset a little bit, but I think that'll be kind of fun. Okay, so now we need to stamp our giraffe. And we're going to use watercolor pencils to color this one. And so what I want to do first is stamp my giraffe. I suppose I should make sure he fits on there because he is quite tall. All right. So now when we open our stamps, the other thing I really like about setting my stamps up this way is I can always see if one of my stamps is missing. If it's been borrowed or loaned out, or if I lost it somewhere, I can tell right away. All right, so, oh, and our giraffe is going to fit on there just perfect. All right, where are we going to put it? Right? I'm having a hard time deciding. Okay, I'm going to put it on the right because I'm going to put my, let's see. Yep, I'm going to put my sentiment on the left. Okay, so now I need my ink and I'm just going to grab some we're going to use Memento Tuxedo Black. All right, and because this is a bigger stamp, I'm going to tap my ink pad on my stamp instead of my stamp on my ink pad. It's just a little bit easier for me to see when it's all inked up and ready to stamp. Okay. And I think that looks good, but because it's a new stamp, I am going to practice stamp here on my scrap paper just to make sure it comes out right. Now, as you can see, I practice stamp a lot. You can probably tell from all that busyness in the background there. All right, now I'm going to ink it up one more time because my image looks good. Okay, and I'm going to stamp here on the right hand side of my cardstock. I'm going to lay my stamp down and then I'm going to press on it kind of in the center. So you don't want to smush it down into there. You just want to press it down with a nice firm pressure. And that is what our image looks like so far. So then I like to stamp off a couple times, especially if I'm working with a darker color, before I clean it off with my chamois. Okay. Now I'm going to put my stamp back away real quick. And we're going to color with our watercolor pencils. Now, these pencils that I have are older. They're not new. And so if you have a newer set of pencils, they probably are not in a case like this. And so actually someone opened my case a little on the rough side once, and so they are a little bit damaged, but they still work just fine. So we need some green for our holly berries, not the berries, but the leaves down here. If you are not a colorer, then I'm sure you might get a little bored watching me color in my image here. I don't currently have any way to speed that up. So I apologize. And I'm not really a fast colorer. So it does take me a little time to get that done. I hope that you're having a wonderful night tonight. I don't see any comments yet. I did see that I did see one comment. I saw Janelle's comment that she found me. I don't think I saw any other comments, but I am glad that you're here. And I hope that tonight will help you find some inspiration to get some cards made. I try really hard to send out an email once a week with the instructions for these cards, as well as announcements about what I've got coming up. This month I have a card class that is available on Friday, November 17th, and that's at 10 o'clock or at 6 o'clock. So I've added a morning option along with my regular evening option. So if you are looking for a card class, that's available. Now you can get that free with a $35 Stampin' Up! Order that day, or you can play the fat fee, not fat fee, flat fee. Oh, I love to color. And I used to do it a lot. So, okay, back to what I was saying. I did get a little distracted. I have the class on Friday. You can place a $35 order that day, or the class is free. That makes the class free. Sorry, I'm not doing a good job coloring and talking tonight. Or the flat fee is $25. Okay, that's what I was trying to say. Now this month I also have on Saturday, and this is the first time I've ever done this, so I'm not 100% sure how it's going to turn out, but I'm really excited about it. I think it's really fun. I love Christmas cards. The class cards are Christmas as well, but on Saturday I'm going to have a Christmas card buffet. So the fee for that, it's actually a 4-hour event, and it's not so much a class, but you will be able to come and make cards, but most of them will be very simple, quick and easy to make, and it's from 10 to 2. And I'll probably have some Christmas music going and maybe some Christmas cookies if I can get some together. And that's Saturday, November the 18th. And I think the price for that is $45. But for that, you can come and make as many cards as you can. So I'm busy getting together some design ideas for that, and I'll be cutting out lots of bases and pieces, and I'll have lots of stamp sets. Now there may be some that are retired that we'll use, some retired paper, but it'll be lots of fun. So I hope that you can make it to one of those fun events. All right, let's see. Now our giraffe. Let's see. Giraffes have brown spots, right? I think. All right, so let's color his spots first. Oh, it looks like I need a pencil sharpener here. Hold on, I think I have one in my pencil cup. I love to color, and I have so many coloring tools all over the place around here. I've got cups of colored pencils and markers sitting pretty much everywhere. All right, I think I broke that one. I'm gonna try and color with it anyways, but I'm probably gonna have to sharpen it again. See how crooked it is there? It's gonna mess me up, I'm sure. But I am a little bit excited about Christmas. I love the Christmas season. I did break it. I broke that one good. I love the Christmas season. I love decorating for Christmas. I feel like the last couple years have been a little hard. Just because the season gets so busy. And I don't always plan ahead well. And I am definitely a person who, if my budget is out of order, then I feel like my whole life is out of order. And I know that's not the case, and that I shouldn't feel that way, but it's definitely something I struggle with. So this year I'm hoping that I will feel more put together, and then I'll focus more on the spirit of Christmas than on the gifts. My kids are getting older, and so the things that they're looking for are different, as well as our time together is very different. So I'm hoping that we can do some more fun experiences for Christmas time this year. I love to go to Crossroads Village. I love it there. And I love to ride the train, the Huckleberry Railroad train, and to see all the lights. I love Christmas lights. And I also love, I really want to have a fire in the fireplace and just sit around and drink some cocoa and maybe read some Christmas stories. I really love that part of the Christmas season. All right, here we go. We're getting close. This is a lot of coloring tonight, so I love to color, like I already told you, and I often will sit in front of the TV and color. I can color little pieces for my cards. I have a little lap desk I like to color on. It actually has a little cup holder so I can put my cup on the side. All my little cards and things in a little tray. Okay, now these that I'm using tonight are actually watercolor pencils. And so not only can you use them to color, but you can also watercolor with them. And another thing that you can do is after you've colored, you can also use the Wink of Stella on them. And Wink of Stella is a glitter brush, but it also is kind of wet, so it will work a little bit like a watercolor painter in the blending of the colors. So it will help blend them together very nicely, and they'll be sparkly too. So that is a definite bonus, I think. Okay, I'm just trying to hit those little parts of the giraffe that I may have missed when I was coloring there. I don't want there to be any white spots on my little giraffe. And I always like to go back and hit the lines again a little bit. And I think that helps give it like some definition or a little bit of shadow. Just a little more shape, so it doesn't look quite so flat. Kind of go around the edges a little bit. Okay, let's see, we need a little trunk for our tree. So back to the brown we go. This time I'm just gonna try to color a little bit more lightly so that it looks like, maybe it looks like a little different color, even though it's not. Your shading can definitely do a lot as far as what you get in the end. Let's see, and then we need some red on our Christmas bulbs. Maybe this one. These little Christmas bulbs are really tiny, so it's kind of hard to get them to color exactly the way I want them to. Let's see. one. Let's color one kind of this pool party color. And let's see, we need some pink in there. When I was younger, I always thought that I would want a Christmas tree that was themed, and so before I had kids, a lot of the Christmas decorations that I bought were blue or silver. I really like the idea of blue and silver and white for a Christmas tree. And I like white lights. White lights are my absolute favorite on a Christmas tree. But now that I have kids and they love colors, and so our tree is, we have those multi-colored strands, not strands anymore. We actually have a Christmas tree that has built-in lights. So, I used to love to go and pick out a Christmas tree and chop it down and drag it home and string all those strings of lights on there. I am very choosy, of course, about our lights. But now it is, it just is full of ornaments that they've made and pictures from years gone by, and multiple colored lights and colored ornaments. We've got all the colors, every color you can imagine, and lots of homemade ornaments. And I love it. I love it so much more than I think I ever would have loved a blue and silver Christmas tree. Not that I wouldn't have one someday down the road if that were an option, like having the second tree, maybe. But I think I probably would still stick with that bright tree with all the mishmash of ornaments and lights, just because now that's what I love. It reminds me of home. And so I think that once you get to that point where your Christmas ornaments help you feel like you're home, that's more important than having everything match or look, you know, it doesn't look like a magazine picture. It's just our home. And not that I say just in a negative way, but in a way that it's where I am, and it's become who I am, really. Okay, so there is, oh, I forgot his hat. Okay, hold on. We have to color his little red hat. And then I'm going to do something different with the star. So I haven't colored it yet, but don't worry. No, have no fear. We will take care of that star. All right, so next, that's our colored pencil coloring. I feel like that took a long time, but maybe it's just because I was the one coloring. Let me know if you think I'm going too slow or if I'm talking too much. But it can happen. It can happen. Okay, so here is our little giraffe, and we decided that. We're going to put him down in the corner like this, and then on the card. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue this one down first. And so here comes Mortimer. Mortimer, my favorite little helping turtle. And we're going to take our liquid glue and we are going to put a thin line around the edge. And please know that when I'm telling you a thin line, I really mean it. Like a nice thin line around the edge and a squiggle down the middle. So this, let me hold it up close so you can see. See that glue on there? There are no little globby spots. You do not want that. So keep that glue moving nice and smooth. Okay, now we can line that up in the center and press it down. We've done quite a bit of coloring. Okay, and then I wanted to show you one more thing before we move on. That Wink of Stella. Where did I put that? Wink of Stella. Okay, this is the Wink of Stella glitter brush, and it's just a little gold shimmer that it's going to add to our card. So we're going to use this, and we're just going to color over our Christmas tree, and we're going to make it sparkly. Now, you can see how it's kind of pulling the color a little bit because it is wet. All right, and it's kind of smushing all that color together, making it nice and smooth. Okay. And then when we're done, our tree is going to be a little bit sparkly and nice and smooth. So because we did use those watercolor pencils, the pencil will blend a little bit. Just like that. Okay, and I'm just going to wipe it off here on my scrap piece of paper. And let me see if I can show you. Can you see that sparkle at all? It's just a little tiny shimmer. There it is, maybe. But in person, I feel like I can never catch it quite on the video. But in person, you definitely can see that little bit of shimmer in the Christmas tree. All right. So then we're going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're going to put on our little giraffe. I hope you're enjoying this card tonight. I know it takes a little bit longer when we're coloring. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to check for any comments. I can see them sometimes on the computer and sometimes I can't. Okay, so now we have our little giraffe on here, and then we need a sentiment. So let's choose, I think, may your season be one that's festive and fun. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I'm going to grab a piece of white over here. And here's our black memento. And we need our Stampin' Block again. Tonight I'm using block I. Now for this next sentiment, I could switch to a smaller block, but just to save time, I'm going to use the same one. Okay, so then we're going to put our sentiment on there. And I didn't even line it up this time. But it doesn't matter because we are going to fussy cut it. All right, so we're just tapping. And I'm only tapping because my block is big and I know that my ink pad is small and it'll be easier for me to tap ink to the stamp than the stamp to the ink. So depending on what you're working on, you may want to do it the other way. How comfortable you are with it. All right, so now we're just going to stamp it down here in the corner. And again, we're going to press it in the center. It's a little bit trickier because these words are small, but it turned out okay. And then we're going to fussy cut this sentiment. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be too fussy about it. I'm just trying to cut kind of a smooth shape that goes around my words. And I'm not going to try to make it the same on both sides. I'm just going to kind of make it, I don't know, I guess bubbly, right? It doesn't have to be all the same. Plus it's kind of a big sentiment, and so to get both the sides exactly the same would take a long time, and to be perfectly honest, it might drive me a little bit crazy. Because sometimes I can sit and look at it and be like, oh, nope, I gotta cut a little more off this side, a little more off this side, a little more here. And then by the time we got to the end, there would be nothing left. All right, so what I want to do is add this over here. And again, I'm going to use a couple Stampin' Dimensionals. When in doubt, use dimensionals. Unless you're trying to keep it really small for an envelope you're going to mail. Okay, so if you're trying to mail this card, you might want it to be nice and flat instead of a little bumpy. So I'm going to put it up here on the edge because I feel like if I put it down here, it'll blend in a little too much. So I like it up there on the edge. Now for our star, what I want to do is, this is the die set from the Merry and Bright dies. Now, if you have some dies laying around, or if you have a punch or whatever you have, you might have a little star that's similar to this. There are stars in the Give It a Whirl die set, and I use that one a lot. There is a star in the Crafting with You die set. I can't remember which other ones have stars, but there are quite a few star options available. And what I am going to do is grab a little piece of gold foil. Now this is actually the brushed metallic cardstock because I currently don't have any gold foil, but I am working on getting some. And I'm gonna die cut one little gold star out of here. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna die cut right behind me. Here's our little gold star. Now, if you don't have a die or a star punch or anything like that, you could probably pick up some little gold star stickers, or you could just color in the star, I suppose. But I really wanted a special little star there. So I'm gonna get some mini dimensionals, and I'm gonna put one right on the back of that little star. And I'm gonna stick that right on the card. And I think that turned out super cute. So there is one option you could use for coloring. I love the watercolor pencils there. I love how if I go over them with a little wink of Stella or a watercolor brush, they turn out really smooth and nice. We do also have watercolor paper that you can buy to use with them. And if I'm doing a large amount of watercoloring, I will definitely choose that over the basic white paper, because this white is pretty thin, and you could easily, very easily kind of use it too much and pull it apart. Okay, so our next card, there's our first card. The next one, I wanted to use some shaded spruce. Now this is a color I don't use very often, but I really like it now that I have it. I hadn't ordered it for a while. I like a darker green usually more, and this one has I don't want to say it's blue, but it's not forest green. It's definitely a different green than that. Okay, so this time let's cut our paper at 4 1/4 by 11. So we'll make a top fold card. All right, and then we'll score it at 5 1/2. Okay, so then when we fold it, it'll fold like this. Okay. I know I say this every time, but I moved my table around again, and so I keep having to adjust for the things behind me. One day I feel like I'll be able to come in here and sit down. Everything will be ready, but today is not that day. All right, and so now we said we're going to use the moose and that little beaver. Let's see. Do I think will these polka dots be super fun? Yes, I think they will. But I need a piece of green to go with this. All right, so here we go. We're gonna take a piece of this Granny Apple Green, and we are gonna cut this at 5 1/4 by 4. I have to tell you, some nights I have a hard time tearing myself away from whatever my family is doing to come downstairs and craft. But tonight, I definitely needed it. There are definitely some nights when that creative those creative thoughts in my mind really need to get out. So I know that tonight was one of those nights. All right, I cut that at 3 3/4. Just, I didn't say that out loud. And then I'm gonna turn it and cut it at 5. So it's really close to the same size. It is the same size that we cut out on the first card, but we're using it in a different way. So what I'm going to do is glue these two together. Thank you, Mortimer. And we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to do a thin line of glue. If you are using the green glue, this is the way to do it. If you get too much on your paper, several things will happen. Your paper can wrinkle up because it'll get too wet. It will ooze out the edges, and then you will have sticky paper, sticky fingers, sticky table, sticky everything. And this green glue is super sticky. Super sticky. Now I am planning to do an adhesives video where I can show you a little bit more. Oop, I had to scoop my table a little bit there. Sorry about that. I am going to do an adhesive video where I show you the difference between all of the adhesives and the way that I use them, because everyone has a little different take on the glues, I guess I should say. I don't know how else to word it. But some people love the green glue, some people love the tape runner. There are a lot of different options. All right, now we need some basic white over here. Where's all my basic white? Okay, so here is our card base. Here's our first layer. And now we're going to do a little bit of stamping. So I think, all right, we need to kind of measure here what size we need for this. All right, and we're gonna, oh, I didn't put a stamp back. I just noticed. Okay, we're gonna want our little moose on there. I'm gonna put this other stamp away before I forget. All right, here we go. Let's put that one away. And we're gonna want our little beaver on there. Oh, no, I think he's gonna be too big. Okay, hold on. No? Okay, so we're just gonna do our moose. I don't want a piece that's too big, and I feel like, let's see. Let's see how it really would be. See, I think that's going to take up a little too much of our, well, maybe not. I don't know. Okay. We'll try it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's stamp our little beaver first, because he can go down in the corner. All right, and I'm using the Memento. No, I'm not. Hold on. I'm switching. I am going to use I like to know about all the adhesives. I do have I have Stampin' Seal, I have the Seal Plus, the green glue. I of course love mini glue dots. They are great. Because they're not messy and you can take them anywhere. All right, so now, ooh, uh-oh. Oh boy. You're not going to believe it. I dropped that right on my pants and I don't even see a line. So, but I do see a little thread that got in there. And I'm going to get that off right away. Okay. Whew, that was a little scary. Anytime I drop an ink pad, I get a little freaked out. That very rarely happens to me, but it does happen. Not because I'm not clumsy. I am clumsy, but I don't know why. I usually don't have any trouble hanging on to my ink pads. All right. So first, we are going to stamp the little beaver. And again, I'm tapping my ink on my stamp because of the size of my block that I'm using tonight. Okay, so now we're going to stamp our little beaver right down here in the corner. And I'm going to press in the center of him, just like that. And if you are stamping on a really big block with a little tiny stamp like this, you want to be very careful that when you set it down, you don't lean it to the side, one side or the other, because then your image will be lopsided. So in general, it's probably best if you keep the image in the center of the block, but as you can see, I did not follow best stamping practices. Sometimes I don't. And sometimes I regret it, and other times it magically works out okay. But I couldn't tell you the difference between why it sometimes works out okay and why it doesn't. All right, this time we'll put it in the center, just so that I'm following the advice I usually would give you. All right, and then we're going to tap again. Now, remember that StazOn and Memento are slightly different in terms of ink pads from our classic ink. So if you look at this, I don't know if you can tell, but this is a felt pad where most of our ink pads are foam at this point. So these pads are not squishy. You're not going to be able to push your stamp down into it. You're just going to want to lay it on the top and press. Again, with that nice firm pressure. Okay, so now we're going to put our mousse on there. So I'm going to lay my stamp down and then press in the center. Okay, so it's important to try and press really even in the center, not to rock or, you know, like lean it to the side or anything. You want your stamp to be as flat and as level with the table as it can be. And if you don't have one of these Stampin' Pierce mats, this is a great investment. It really is. It will help loads and loads with your photopolymer stamps, and probably only a little bit with your cling stamps or your regular wood mount stamps. But with the photopolymer, it will make a huge difference. All right, so here is our mousse and our little beaver. So let's see if we can cut them to a reasonable size here. Let's see. That looks like 3 1/4. Let's see. I think I'd like it to be a little smaller than that. So let's see what it would look like at 3. I think that's going to cut a little bit of our mousse's antler off. So let's do 3 1/8. All right, and then I think we can turn it around and take 1/8 off of this side without chopping off our beaver's tail there. What do you think? I think that looks pretty good. All right, and now let's do, let's see. We did 3 the one way. Let's do 3.5 this way. Okay. All right, I think that's going to be really cute. And now I want to show you something a little different to do with your inks. So this is just an acrylic block, the same one that we've been using to stamp with. And these are Stampin' Spots. Now you might have a lot of these if you have been getting paper pumpkins. So I wanted to show you a little trick with coloring with these Stampin' Spots. The other thing you're gonna need is, I don't see mine. Hold on a second. We need a blender pen. I have been moving things around a little too much. Now why can't I find my blender pens? Oh boy. Oh my goodness, I must have taken them somewhere and now I cannot see them. Oh, I do see them. Hold on. Good grief. You would think when I put things away, I would put them where I could remember them. I have not done that. All right, so now we're going to color this in and we're going to use our Stampin' Spots and our blender pen. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to try and start with lighter colors. And so I'm going to use a little color for that cake. And I'm going to find, let's see, the colors I want to use tonight. I want to use some shaded spruce because that's in my card. Let's see. We could use some Parakeet Party because that's close to our Granny Apple Green. If I don't have, oh, I do have Granny Apple Green. And some Poppy Parade. That's kind of a reddish, pinkish color. I'm sure we'll need some Daffodil Delight. And we need some Early Espresso. Let's see, I was trying to look and see if I had another little brown color, but I don't think I do. Okay, so how about some Cajun Craze? All right, so then what we're gonna do to color with these, we have our blender pen. It's got 2 ends and they look like marker ends, but they're kind of clear or white. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start with the yellow and I'm gonna tap it here on my acrylic block. Now, if you can see that, see how that little bit of yellow ink just kind of shows up there? We can take our blender pen and swirl it around in that yellow ink, and then we can use that to color on our card. Okay, so I'm gonna do some yellow stripes here on my moose's scarf. And let's give him some yellow pants. That's probably not like a super popular color for pants for a moose, but I'm not sure. Okay. Now, what I do want to tell you when you're using blender pens and your ink like this is you don't want to go over the same spot too many times. It does work similar to a marker, and so that's kind of the color you're going to get, but it's a little bit like watercolor too. So you really have to be careful that you don't get your paper too wet. You don't want to get your paper too wet. All right, and let's use some Cajun Craze on his scarf. And so I'm just going to take that and tap it on my acrylic block. Now you can do the same thing using the Stampin' Right markers. You can color them on the block and then use them on your blender pen. You can watercolor with them because they are water-based ink. Okay, so there is that. And then I am going to color my beaver actually with some of that Cajun Craze. I'm sure he's probably way more brown than red, but I'm going to do it this way anyways. Now you are going to want to color kind of quickly because if you don't, you can't really blend your colors as well. All right, now I'm going to use a little bit of this early espresso, and I'm just going to tap it on here. And in between each one, you can color off on your little piece of scrap paper just until the color goes out. And I usually try to keep one side for a little bit lighter colors and one side for darker colors. These blender pens come in a set of 3 and they last a really long time. And I do quite a bit of coloring, so they really do last. They don't blend as well as they're not going to blend as well as your Stampin' blends, but you can get more colors out of them because you can kind of mix them and make your own colors. I do really love to color. I am trying to work a little faster than I normally would, so this is not quite as precise as I would usually color. But I do like to start at an edge and then work towards the middle, just because I feel like that blends my colors a little nicer that way. They look a little more natural. Okay, so there is my beaver and my, all right, now I need to do my moose. And so I'm gonna mix my Cajun Craze and my early espresso a little bit. And we'll see how that turns out. I have always liked the kind of the different shadings that you can get when you mix colors. And you may find this is not quite as smooth as coloring with a watercolor pencil or the blender pens, but I like it just the same. And you can lighten your colors a little bit. You really do have to move quickly though, because they will set in pretty fast. All right, so there is our mousse so far. I think I'm gonna make his sweater a little more of that Cajun Craze color. But I do think it's fun too how many different coloring tools we have and the different ways that you can use them. The watercolor pencils really are probably my favorite way to color. I feel like I have the most control when I use those. But I like experimenting with all the different methods. And I hope that you'll like it too. I really think it's fun. All right, so there is that. I forgot I was gonna make that. Oh, I was gonna make his sweater shaded spruce, but it's too late for that now. All right, so now I'm gonna use some early espresso for his antlers. Right. And now what's kind of cool about this is when you're done using all those colors, all you have to do is just take your Stampin' chamois and you can wipe all that ink right off. And so it's not a huge extra cleanup or anything. It's just a little bit of work. All right, and then we need just a little shaded spruce and a little poppy parade for our little cake here. Oh, I didn't open this one yet. All right, hold on. So when these come, they do have a little dashed line on them, but I like to take my snips and just run it along that edge. And then if I only run it along one side, I can open it and the lid stays attached. I like to keep my lids where I know they'll stay on. Okay, and then we just need a little bit of red. Okay, almost over here at the dark side. All right, and then we can pick that red up. And we can add it to the holly berry and the little cake frosting here. Okay. I feel like red takes the longest to get back out of there. Okay, then we need a little bit of green, and we will just add that to the leaves. And maybe the tray too. Okay, there we go. So I think that turns out really cute. See how we colored that? And that was using a blender pen and just little ink spots. So there are lots of different ways that you can color. If you have if there's any ways to color that you would like to see me try in a video, then you can always comment that or send me a message, and I'm happy to try things. In fact, there is something really cool I watched today that I want to try, but I need to test it out just a little bit first. So be watching for a special coloring video coming up. It was using vellum too, so, and you guys know how much I like to use vellum. All right, so there are our little Stampin' Spots that we colored with, and now we need a little sentiment. So let's grab, let's see, do we want a little square maybe tonight? I really like this sentiment right here, a little something for you with lots of love from me. And I'm gonna look for, I think I have some little circles cut out around here. Let me see. I'm trying to find the right size circle. I don't know where all my circles are. Okay, I can't find it. Let me grab a punch. Okay, this is a 1 3/4 inch punch, and I think it will be just the right size. So let's see. Now this is the older style punch, so if you order a 1 3/4 inch circle punch, you'll get the new flatter style of punch, which is much easier to store, I can tell you honestly. All right, and here is our stamp, and I'm actually going to put it on the smaller block this time. All right, let's see if it fits on this one. This is block B. And I can tell you that I think it's the easiest to stamp on a block that is just bigger than your image. So if you have choices of what block you want to put your stamp on, I would always choose one that's only slightly larger than the cling stamp. I feel like that's the easiest to stamp with and to handle. All right, so let's stamp our little circle here. And we're going to press in the center, just like that. I kind of like how that love stood out a little more than the rest. I did not do that intentionally. That's just how the ink got on there this time. Okay, so there is our little circle. Okay, and I think what we need with this card is a little bit of string. And right here I've got some Simply Elegant trim, and this is the gold. I really like this gold. I like the silver too, but I feel like green and gold go well together. And maybe navy and silver. I don't know. I could be wrong, but those are colors that I really like together. Okay, so let's wrap that around a couple of times, and we'll tie a little bow right here. And if you don't like bows, you can always tie a little knot. No one is going to complain when they get a beautiful card if it has a knot instead of a bow. And if they do, I'm pretty sure they'll end up on the naughty list. So, okay. We're just going to trim the ends of that bow. And I think this is, let's see, we cut this 3 by 3.5. I'm going to cut a piece just bigger than that to go around it. Oh, sorry about that. Sometimes I get a little carried away. All right, so 3 5/8 by 3 1/8. And that will, if we go up by 8ths, then it just makes a tiny border around whatever we're doing. Usually I go up by quarters, and I end up with a little larger border. But this time I just want a really small one. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over, grab my liquid glue, and again I'm going to do just a thin line of glue around the edge, and then a squiggle down the middle. Thank you, Mortimer. I can sit my stamp layer right inside there. Oh, I don't think you could see that. I'm sorry. I had a little close to me there on the edge. All right. Okay, and there is our sentiment. Okay, so now we're going to want to glue this to the front of our card. So a thin line of glue around the edge and a squiggle down the middle. I think you can probably see that one a little better than you could the one earlier. So see how little glue that is, just a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to center that and glue it down. I feel like I'm working off the camera a little bit there. Okay, now I have to straighten that bow out a little. I didn't put any glue right behind there, so it can move around a little bit, that bow. Okay, and then we will add some Stampin' Dimensionals to the back of our image layer. Even though I've been doing this for a while, sometimes I still struggle with what to call each layer as I go. All right, so then we're going to put that down. I'm kind of trying to line it up with the right side here because I feel like you're not going to notice as much the top or the bottom or even the left because that bow's over there kind of popping it up, but this side, I feel like if that's crooked, people are gonna know. They're gonna know. And then we'll just add our circle right up here. Let's see, let's use a tiny Stampin' Dimensional at the top. And then we'll just put a little squiggle of glue here at the bottom. And let's just put it right there. Okay, and that is our second card for tonight. So let me know what you think about those coloring tips. And this was our first card. And remember, we used the colored pencils on that one and the Wink of Stella here on our tree. And then this was our second card, and we used the Stampin Spots and the blender pen. So there's two different coloring options. And now remember, when you're using that blender pen, you do want to move really quick, because even as I rub my finger over that mousse, you can't tell in the picture, but the paper did start to rough up a little bit. So you really want to be careful and be quick when you're using that method. It works really well. But you may want to use thick cardstock or watercolor paper if you don't feel like moving really quickly while you're doing that. I hope that you have a good week, and join me next time I do a Stampin' Sunday class. And remember that my in-person card class this month will be on November 17th, and there's a 10 a.m. option or a 6 p.m. option. These are the cards, real quick, just in case you've missed them. And everything will be cut out, die cut, and we don't have any embossing this time, but everything will be die cut and prepared for you. Let's see, this is the third one. And this one is my favorite. This is the fun fold. I try to do at least one fun fold or one special technique each card class. So that'll be December 17th. And then December 18th will be the Christmas card buffet. So if you are on my email list, be sure that you're watching for that. If you want to go to that and you're not on my email list, then you can click the sign up link at the top of my Facebook page, and that will take you to a constant contact link where you can sign up to get all of my emails and information. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you, Kathy. I'm glad you liked them. I thought they turned out really fun. I did use the same paper that I'll be using in my card class. Have a good week, everyone, and happy stamping.